Wow, my cannelé mold has definitely seen better days. Hi everyone and welcome to just a recipe video. It's been a crazy week and I've not been able to do a proper script or research on the topic I wanted to do, so we're just doing a simple recipe post today. And this almost didn't happen because I have a new phone and half of the files that I filmed for this didn't transfer, but I have just about enough to actually post a video today, so lucky for me. Now, this is my super old Dubai cannelé mould. It's about 5 years old now, maybe 6, and this is going to be its last hurrah as I'm going to use it to make Matcha Canelés. One day I'll treat myself to the proper copper cannelé moulds, but they're a bit pricey and you have to buy them one at a time, so for now silicone will have to do. Right, so the first thing you have to do is melt some butter and some milk, let it cool before adding an egg in, and then whisking in some vanilla. I use vanilla bean paste because I love that concentrated vanilla taste, but ordinary vanilla extract will do. I'm so sad I had some really cool hyperlapse feature of the butter melting into the milk, but alas, RIP footage during the phone transfer. I'm literally standing right now inside my utilities cupboard, hovering on top of my washing machine to film this audio at the moment, because there's a building site outside at the moment, so it's pretty noisy. So sorry if you can hear any knocks and bangs that are still coming through. This is the quietest place in my flat at the moment. Right, so the next thing you want to do is measure out the dry ingredients. First up, we have some plain flour. Very important that it's plain, not self-raising. You need plain flour here. Now add some matcha. Use the best quality you can afford. I use Clear Spring's premium matcha, which is a step below the ceremony grade matcha, but is just right, because it's nice and bright green and has a lovely almost floral flavour. Don't use the cheap stuff because it will just turn out grey. And now what we need to do is sift all of this into a bowl so we don't get any lumps. If you're not using matcha for this recipe, you could probably get away with not sifting the flour, but because matcha has a tendency to clump, this step is really important here. Add some caster sugar for sweetness. And just a pinch of salt to bring out that flavour. Now gradually whisk in the wet ingredients bit by bit so it doesn't form any lumps. I do it in 2 stages, but you can do it in a few more if you'd like to be on the safe side. And now you have to pass the whole thing through a fine sieve, and this part you can't skip whether you use matcha or not. There are going to be some little egg fibres in there you want to catch. And now we wait. Wrap it up and pop it in the fridge, ideally for 48 hours, but 24 hours will do. Wait as long as you can though, it can keep in the fridge up to 4 days. Now we've waited, and what we need to do is brush our moulds on the inside with melted butter. For proper traditional cannelé, you need to also use melted beeswax, but it is messy and I hate using it, and I think I'll reserve that for one day when I actually have the copper moulds. You can see how much mess even just butter alone has already created on the surface of my mould, with all the burn marks from over the years. So yeah, beeswax is for the brave and those who have time to clean up, which I don't. This works okay, you just don't get the beeswax chewy crisp flavour, but they still crisp up fine. So give them a good generous brushing. Now you need to turn the moulds upside down to drain them of excess butter. This is why I lined my worktop with foil, so it makes an easy cleanup. Once that's done, flip them over the right side onto a baking tray, which I've lined with even more foil because you never know, it's good mess insurance. Now I'm going to rescue my cannelé batter, which has been waiting in the fridge for a good 2 days now, and I'm going to give it a nice gentle stir because it would have separated a tiny bit. Be very gentle though, you do not want air bubbles in this, you want this mixture to be nice and smooth and dense. Right, so now do as I say and not as I do. You need to fill up the moulds 3/4 of the way up. I'm filling them up way too much here because I was impatient. I didn't want to bake a second batch, and this technically makes 8 of this size cannelé. So make sure it's only 3/4 of the way up. Otherwise they're going to bulge out of the mould as they're baking and you're going to get a bit of a funny shape at the bottom. Make sure you've preheated your oven to 220 degrees C at this point too. You're going to want to bake them at this temperature, which I know is very high, but you need that for half an hour, and then turn the temperature down to 180 degrees C to bake it for a further 30 minutes. You need that high temperature to start off with so it seizes up the outside and makes it nice and crisp, so it retains that shape. Once they're done, let them cool for 5 to 10 minutes before turning them out on the wire rack to cool completely and enjoying. Now you can see my full recipe on tashcakes.com, which I'll link below, and catch me on Instagram as tashcakestastes. Stay safe, be nice, and have a good week.